Earlier this week, the nation woke up to the shocking and sad news of the passing of racing superstar Gugu Zulu, who died during an attempt to summit Mount Kilimanjaro as part of the Trek for Mandela expedition. We're joined by experienced mountaineer and owner of Soul Adventures, Darren McDonald, to help us better understand what really goes into preparing oneself for such an adventure, as well as the dangers that at times have taken the lives of many who tried to summit Kilimanjaro and other tall mountains around the world. Darren, pleasure to have you with us.
Hey, thank you, Tim.
And unfortunately, I want us to talk about Soul Adventures, which we will do in a moment, but let's talk about Gugu Zulu. And this is an incident that shocked many, including the people who were with him on this expedition. But then, seemingly, this kind of incident can, and they have happened before. What would have happened, you think, given the latest that we've heard on this tragic incident?
Well, you're climbing a mountain, Tim. Okay, so mountains are dangerous. When I see people before I take them up a mountain, there are certain facts you need to know about a mountain. Kilimanjaro's fertility rate at the moment is 10%. Okay, so you've got a 10% chance of dying on the mountain.
Really?
10%.
Which is, so if you work out in 1 out of 10 chance, right?
Yeah, obviously if you roll it out into, there's probably 10,000 people that climb Kilimanjaro every year.
Yeah.
So out of 10,000, take maybe 100 people that die every year.
All right.
Okay, so that's the reality of a mountain. It's a mountain. Mountains are hard. There's going to be things that happen. It's not like any other sport where things can be controlled. The two major things that can happen on the mountain is a thing called pulmonary edema and cerebral edema.
Yeah, explain those, yeah.
Okay, so cerebral edema basically is due to the lack of oxygen in the air. Your lungs cannot handle the environment. So in a nutshell, your lungs start filling with blood basically.
Yes.
You start drowning on your own blood. Okay, the other one is a cerebral edema, is where your brain sort of swells.
Yes.
due to the changes in altitude and oxygen. Those are the two major things that can go wrong on a mountain.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to manage those. Okay, so obviously, when I see people, I tell them those are the two major things that can happen. You need to know that.
Now, Gugu Zulu was a sports person,
Yep.
racing star, but they definitely exercise and so on. One would think that he had already worked on his fitness levels in order to summit the Kilimanjaro successfully.
Fitness has got nothing to do with it. My experience over the last 10 years, fitness has got absolutely nothing to do with it. It's basically how your body adapts to the altitude. We've had guys that do the Comrades Marathon that can't make the top, that turn around. So yes, fitness does play a role in terms of making the trip more enjoyable, but how your body adapts to the altitude has got zero to do with how fit you are. Obviously, you can take precautions beforehand. I do a lot of training with people before I actually take people to Kilimanjaro. For example, I'll take them up to the top of the Drakensberg. Drakensberg is 3,400 meters, the highest point in South Africa, where I can test people's oxygen saturation levels and blood pressures and certain vital signs to see how they adapt to altitude.
And how high is the Kilimanjaro summit, the highest point?
5,895 meters, nearly 6,000 meters.
Yeah, and is it a flat surface? It's not.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter as long as it's that tall.
It's a gradual incline to the summit, but it's how your body. You need to go really, really, really slow on the mountain, because your body goes through some tremendous changes. The oxygen, for example, is a third of what you're going to be breathing where we are now.
Okay.
So obviously your body's gonna take
and go into some state of shock. As much as it's happening in a gradual manner, but as soon as you're not exposed to that much oxygen summiting. But he also seemingly was not in was developing symptoms of meningitis along the way. Why was that not picked up and he was allowed to go to the extent that he did, trying to summit the mountain?
See, any pre-existing condition before you go up the mountain should be addressed before you go up. I know there's a lot of stories surfacing about what really happened to him. I mean, there's stories that he couldn't breathe, and he couldn't breathe 2 days before. That could be a pre-existing condition. It could have been bronchitis or flu, and that is one criteria where you do not carry up on a mountain.
Yes.
So if you do any symptoms that are related to your lungs, it's climb over.
Yes.
I've had people that have that, you send them down. Meningitis, again, I mean, one of the symptoms of altitude sickness is a severe headache.
Yes.
So it's difficult to differentiate between meningitis
Yes.
and an altitude-related illness.
Now, we're talking about the altitude and what it can do to the body. What about attitude, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You tell me about that. I mean,
Yeah.
how does it influence the decisions that people take when they try to climb to the top? Of the
No,
mountain?
attitude is everything. Depending on what mindset you go into climbing the mountain, why are you climbing it? You know, is it your ego? Are you there because you want to hit the top of the summit? Is it because you're doing it for a cause? What drives you to get to the top? And that's where the danger comes in, especially with men. We've got our egos, we've got our pride. Sometimes you want to push for the summit and you don't want to fail. You know, we program not to fail. We program to hit the top and succeed. So there might be certain things that are wrong with us, like a headache, or there might be some ailment that you think is not that serious enough to tell the guide, which is. I mean, on a mountain, I mean, I keep on telling my customers day in, day out, every half an hour, what is wrong with you? Even if it's the smallest headache, the smallest ailment, I need to know that. Because on a mountain, that compounds into something really, really serious. But again, your ego, you know, whether it's your ego, whether it's that drive to get to the top, maybe you don't, it's just a simple thing, like you don't think it's serious. A headache at sea level isn't that serious.
But you have summited Mount Kilimanjaro 20 times and over a period 15 successive times. So how do you prepare for it?
Again, the altitude you can't really prepare for. I spend 6 months minimum with customers before we even hit the mountain. I do training with them every second weekend. I take them to the Drakensberg. The most important thing, like I said earlier, was getting them to the top of the Drakensberg, for example, 3,400 meters, because that'll give me an indication of how you adapt to the altitude.
What is the experience like just here at home, the top of the Drakensberg? What are you likely to experience when you go on top of the Drakensberg?
Drakensberg, for me, I use the Drakensberg as a benchmark for my Kilimanjaro tours. And it's, in terms of hiking, the Drakensberg is way harder than Kilimanjaro. In terms of the severity, the incline. And I have a motto: you rather bleed on the training field than the battlefield. So I push people really, really hard, because I want to see their, not only their physical stamina but their mental stamina. And then the only way I can find out how they are mentally is to push the boundaries, to push them way outside of their comfort zone.
Well, because it's here in South Africa, when you say Drakensberg, then many of us would think, well, it's a walk in the park, it's a cakewalk then.
Yeah.
It isn't.
No. Drakensberg, in terms of the actual hiking, is harder than Kilimanjaro. The routes I take people on.
Yes.
And I want it to be hard. I want it to be hard, so when they hit Kilimanjaro, it's like, okay, cool. This isn't that difficult in terms of terrain.
Well, we have spoken about Guguzulu, and there will be a memorial held on the 26th of July here in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken about your business, and we've been hearing you saying I take people on this. You've been this for how long?
12 years.
12 years
Yeah,
now?
as a profession, yeah.
Okay, and is it only about Mount Kilimanjaro, or you take people mountaineering all over the place?
Yeah, all over the place. I do a lot of Himalayas.
You've done Himalaya as well?
Lots, yeah. We do a lot of the mountains in front of Everest.
Yeah.
Everest is, I mean, from a financial point of view, is quite expensive at the moment. So I'm doing a lot of the mountains in front of the Himalayas, Island Peaks, Lobochis. They're also pretty high. You still get that mountaineering experience. You get to work with the Sherpas, putting in ice screws. So it's a really like a proper mountaineering expedition.
But is it an expensive thing, mountaineering, in terms of the gear that you need to acquire, the amount of time you invest going for training and so forth?
Yeah, definitely. The equipment, I mean, obviously you need to stay alive on the mountain.
Yeah.
You can hit minus 40 sometimes. We were in Russia the other day, we hit minus 40 on the summit. So you need the equipment, you need the down jackets, you need the down gloves, the ice axes, the crampons. So the equipment can be pretty expensive.
I don't know how I would have prepared for this Kilimanjaro. I was invited, by the way, to go on the Kilimanjaro Summit, because I've never gone mountaineering before. My mind did not connect. So in a way, my ego was very calm and relaxed. It did not insist that I go there. A good thing or a bad thing?
Hey, we all different. Yeah. we all made up different. What drives me?
Yes.
I mean, I love the freedom and maybe it's not about the ego sometimes. It's about the the sense of accomplishment,
Yes.
the freedom, the simplicity of a mountain. You're living in the moment. You're worrying about every step. There's no future. There's no past. And it gives you that sort of like that.
It does have that
freedom.
effect on you that you can forget about your personal troubles when you go up them.
Definitely. You're in survival mode. Your body kicks into this like primal survival mode that I think humans have forgotten. Living in the city, we've forgotten about it. In a mountain, you're in a primal zone. So yeah, you forget about the future, the past. You forget about friends. All you're worrying about is keeping warm and surviving, and it brings a certain element of.
But I can
freedom.
imagine if you've covered 80% of the way and you're not feeling good.
Yep.
Why would you come back? I mean, intuitively, a lot of people would say, what's 20%? You go for it. Push yourself.
Summit
you
fever.
Can't tell. Yeah.
Summit fever. When you get to the top of the mountain, you're only halfway. If you think about it.
Yeah.
You get to the top, you're halfway. And a lot of people will use 99% of their energy to get to the summit because that is their goal.
Because you still have got to
you
come
still
down.
have to come down.
Yeah.
And they leave 1% or 2% of the energy to get back down.
Yes.
And that is the most dangerous part.
Okay.
Most people die on the way down. If you look at the statistics, probably, 60, 70% of people die on the way down. Purely because you're exhausted. Your mental state is different because you've hit the summit. So the elation of hitting the summit and all the pressure of getting there is released. So you don't concentrate as much. Coming down is way more dangerous than going up.
Yeah. Well, but of course you need to condition yourself mentally, physically, and be in the right frame of mind and pay attention to what is going on to your body if you're going up such high climbs as the Mount Kilimanjaro. And of course, very tragic incident that led to this conversation. Yeah. We appreciate that you joined us, Darren McDonald, to talk to us. Soul Adventures is your company, right? For those who are keen, they get in touch with you where? How?
You can email me, Darren, Darren, at souladventures.co.za.
Okay.
Simple.
Well, get in touch with Darren if you are interested in mountaineering. I know a lot of people have taken it up in recent times, so just make sure that you've got yourself organized and together before you get up Drakensberg or even a small time hill in your neighborhood. We don't need to plan.
Noble coffees.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, write to us, share with us your thoughts, and the address is tonightwithtimmodise@gmail.com. On Twitter, it's @timmodise.